I'm gonna have to just accept like when I'm shooting, I'm just
Like
that money gonna have to wait.
Yeah,
like, it's gonna be there. I run an emergency service business.
Oh yeah, well people gonna always call you.
They're gonna call me. They're gonna call me back. And I know the way my business is positioned. You calling me because nobody else answered the phone. You'll be there.
Yep.
You'll be
also right. It seemed like, damn, yeah, that's a good point. I'm curious if it's because your price point or
it's definitely our price point. We charge more.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's literally just because.
So y'all just offer a top tier service?
Yes, we do offer good service, but it's literally like there's more. It's just more demand than supply.
Oh, that's the
like even with the amount of companies that it is, it's so many people that need help. And like I said, and what does help us though is our customer service, and that's something that like me and my partner talk about all the time. It's literally like there's things that we've noticed that are just like petty things that these people that don't have a business mindset, they literally just let money walk out the door. Like if let's say if their schedule is booked for the day, they'll just stop answering the phone.
Oh, that's nuts.
They'll literally stop answering the phone. Or if their truck is broken down, they just won't call people back.
No, people really don't know.
It's literally just money walking through the door. So between me on the front end.
They don't hustle.
Me on the front end.
Simple as that.
Answering and talking a certain way, and then my partner saucing them up when he get there. Bruh, it's easy. We just raking in money. Like, now, with that being said.
Obviously, any business. Expenses and shit.
Right. But that being said, like I said, we charge more than everybody.
I'm glad that y'all did that because I feel like enough businesses don't charge enough.
They're so, this is what the price is. We've been charging for years. I don't care. My number is my number.
Exactly. And don't be unapologetic about it.
Like the only time well, not even me, just me, but like me and my partner, we waver. Like I was telling you outside, like sometimes the people calling us are older individuals. It'd be like widows and shit. I ain't gonna hit you up for that, bro. Like right. I can't hit granny. If you hustling me, your karma gonna get you back.
All right.
But like other than that, like I'll be letting it rock. I don't be worried about business at all. Like it's gonna do what it's gonna need to do, and especially since from where I started, it'll be all right.
I like that.
I'm not worried about it.
Hey, how much should I look at the Ricks versus looking at the camera?
So whatever makes you feel comfortable.
All right.
So yeah, no, man, like from where we started to where we are today, you done did Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Wall Street.
Yes, sir.
Haywire. Skis and Slopes.
Talk about it.
There's some new things that you're doing, right?
Indeed.
That you will be talking about. And for the people, got Paul Dykes here. Alabama.
I don't know which camera, but
Alabama native. He bleeds crimson.
Roll fucking Tide, baby. Roll fucking Tide.
Tell us a little bit about life before entrepreneurship.
Got it. Would you like me to go back to where I grew up, stuff like that?
I mean, whatever helps us best understand Paul to buy into who Paul is.
All right. Ooh, love that. Love it. Damn, I haven't really spoke about myself in a while, so I'm glad that I am here today. But essentially, growing up in Alabama, for some reason, I just always wanted to be on Wall Street. That's all I knew. And I just felt like, okay, on Wall Street, big in the city, high rises, briefcases in suits. So that's what I just always thought I would do. So to me, that's what I was going to do. That was the only option. So then when it was time to go to college, I was like, all right, Paul, your favorite school, your favorite football team is here, right down the street, 20 minutes away. And guess who we just got as head coach?
Oh, Nick Saban?
Nick Saban. So I'm like, oh my, I see the vision. I'm like, oh, I could have a crazy time here. But the thing that scared me is though, being from Tuscaloosa, I was like, I could easily get stuck here. And I noticed a whole lot of my friends and stuff who came there, they also had a big city to go back to. So for me, I would have just only been from there and only knew that. So that's why I made the tough decision to go out of state. So for me, I was just like, all right, I just need to get a tad bit closer to New York. So I was like, all right, Atlanta is close to home. It will do what needs to be done. So you know me, small town kid. I was like, all right, I want to be in the middle of the city. What school falls there? Georgia Tech, which funny is an engineering school. So going there to be in business is not normal, but that's what I did, which is funny because it feels like for me, I've always paved my own path because in reality, did that make sense? No, but I was able to make it stand out and also work for me.
Right.
So yeah. So once I arrived in Atlanta at Georgia Tech, had an amazing time there, a great time, learned a lot. But also I noticed all the banks would come there looking for engineers, which I cannot blame them. And it's like, all right, if I want to be pure finance, how do I bridge this gap? Because I'm all about creating opportunity for myself. And I knew that Atlanta would give me that. So a friend of mine were like chatting one day, and I got word that all the firms go to the AUC career fair. For those who don't know, AUC is Clark, Spelman, and Morehouse. So you know what I did? Got on my tie, a maroon tie specifically, and snuck in there. And that was how I got my first chat with JP and Wall Street firms. So from there, I just kind of kept things rolling. Interned my sophomore summer at UBS. That was a great time. Junior year, I landed the real like big boy internship at JP. I was in leverage finance, which was the top group on Wall Street at that time. So yeah, I was blessed. Then I came back full time. When I started there full time, I thought I had made it. I thought well, no, not that I thought I was in my bag. I said, oh, I'm gonna be on Wall Street for life. I thought I was gonna be legit a Wall Street lifer. You know, the first year just kind of flies by. Second year, it kind of started to settle in. I was like, all right, I'm not making as much money as I thought. I'm just working 80 to 100 hours each week. So I think at that moment, it's when I first learned a real lesson of respect. And when I say respect, I mean having respect for myself. Because also, again, I know the game and I knew I was playing a game and I knew that my group at the time was the top group on Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to even get there from a non-target school was kind of unheard of. And I'm also one of the few Black people there as well. And so
there wasn't many Black people anywhere. But yeah,
right. Exactly. And so how I got there, it was a mix of luck and God, because it kind of didn't make sense. And I know people are like, oh, what school? Because they would assume alums over there and stuff. No, it was just me. Yeah. So it was going great, going well. But around my second year, you know, everybody tries to find somewhere to go. So you do not have to stay for that third year. For me, you know, I was, you know, trying to find somewhere to go. And then I remember we got our bonuses, right? And you know who performs better than you and you know who does not. And when they gave me my bonus and my ranking, I legit thought they were joking. And I was like, this is interesting.
I'm gonna hold you right there. For the people that don't know, in the banking industry, right, you are judged on a meritocracy. So whatever they tell you your value is, you just got to eat it. So it's literally, you could look at it as a 1 through 5 system. It's either 5 is the best, 1 is the worst. And if they tell you you mid, you mid. It doesn't matter.
Even if you're not mid. But what they say is law.
And then you really see how much somebody respects you by how much they paying.
And that's where I am getting to, right? Because at first I took it personal. And then I talked to one of my older Black OGs on the floor. Solid dude. And he gave it to me real. He said, Paul, what did you expect? And I was like, huh? And I expected to be valued for what I was worth. And then he was like, Paul, well, to be honest, that happened to me my first year. And then I did not understand how many people had got played like that too. And they was like, that's just kind of the name of the game, right? And my thing is, if you play me once, fine. But if you play me again, now that is my fault. And so for me, I was like, how did people get through? And it was like, oh, I just hated my life. And for me, even at that age of I was like 23-ish, 22, 23, hating my life was, I to me, that was the most insane thing ever. So I was like, there is no way I would just hate my life. And, I was like, no, this, there has to be another route. And also I believed in myself. I made it this far. And that's why I'm glad, because I look back at it now. I'm glad they didn't almost play me, because if they almost played me, then I would have been able to
suck it up and get over it.
Yeah. And like, Paul, it's just a part of the game. And I'm glad they played me the way they actually did. So that way it made me be like, oh, whoa. Like I thought, whoa. And so that way it made me think, okay, Paul, they don't give a fuck about you. A flying fuck. And then it was so funny too, because I remember the next few days and the weeks, they were all like, oh, Paul, can you do this and do that? Why you want me doing your work if I'm so bad? And I saw the jig then. And so then at that moment, I started to think, all right, what can I do for myself?
So literally at that very moment, that's when you knew you went from riding that high of, I just achieved I worked my ass off to get here to this point.
Yep.
It went from a dream to a nightmare, just like that.
Yeah. And I don't even want to say nightmare, because I knew what I was signing up for.
Mm-hmm. But you just didn't know the extent of what it was.
I didn't know it would be me. But also when I looked around, I was like, well, Paul, somebody gotta get booted. I was a person that could get booted with the least amount of blowback. Her dad is employed here. His dad is this. Blah, 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 blah is employed by this person. Blah, blah, blah went to this school. Somebody has to get cut. And I was that person. So I'm like, again, the game is the game. And so even to this day, I was salty about it for a tad bit, but then I was like, Paul, why? The game is the game. You knew what you were going into before you stepped on that court. So the game is the game. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And my mentor also told me, he was like, Paul, no matter how hard you try, some games you will never be able to win. And I was like, shit, he's right. Some games you will never be able to win. That's just the way it is in life. So I know for me, I was like, all right, what's the game I can win? So that's what I always try to do. All right, how can I put myself in a position to win? And that's what I always try to think about.
Yeah, so like it's probably, I feel like it's going to end up being like the theme of this episode, but like, and I was talking about it just earlier with Christy. It was like the biggest thing that helps you be successful, or what I really think is the biggest differentiator between people in our shoes and walking in our footsteps and people that aren't, it's really just perspective. Like, and what I was telling her, it was like, the way I think now, it just kind of automatically goes, not why is this happening to me, but why is this happening for me? Like, it just goes like automatic. Like, it's just like,
I like that.
Even when stuff goes wrong, when stuff blew up 3 weeks ago and I went 0 for 4 in the episodes I was trying to shoot and I lost audio or whatever, cool. I found a consistent shooter. It helped me not get comfortable in the space that I was recording. And it just like helped me think like, okay, like, what is the good I can take out of this without like being corny and trying to lean into some bullshit mantras. And it's just like something that you said before. It's like, you're happy you got played, so it helped you realize. I think about that shit all the time. Like,
shit is sweet.
With the last job that I had, I'm glad they didn't give me what I asked for. I'm glad they didn't give me those shares. I'm glad that they didn't give me the pay raise that I wanted. I'm glad they didn't give me the bonus that I wanted.
Because think about it.
Because I would have got comfortable.
It's easy to, and then I look at it now. I've had friends still there 12 years later, and they're miserable. And it's like, why?
But they got bread though.
And they're miserable. And I'm like, dang. And so it just goes to show you all that glitters is not gold.
Gotcha. So that's the early struggle up until like, or that's the early life abbreviated up until you realize like, okay, Wall Street isn't for me, right?
Right. I didn't say it was not for me. I saw this position and this specific group is not for me. So I was like, I need to make
so even at that point, you still thought that banking was the solution?
At this point, I knew hedge fund was in my future 100%.
Okay.
There was nothing you couldn't tell me. Hedge fund, 2 years, then business school, 2 years, and then my whole life would figure itself out from there. And thank God it didn't go that way.
Okay,
thank God it did it, because I don't know if we would be here today.
With that plan that you had envisioned, right? Because you gotta see it in your mind before it can happen in real life, right? So with that plan that you had in mind, like, what was it that you were chasing? Was it money, security? Was it lifestyle? Like, what was it that you were chasing that fueled that vision?
For me, it was freedom. And when I think about freedom, at that time, particularly in my early 20s, it was make as much money as fucking possible. That was a goal. Make as much money as I can,
no matter what the side effects. 100-hour weeks,
to give myself the life that I can. But I'm lying though, because if I actually care about money the way I thought, I would have stayed at JP. So somewhere around those first 2 years, my thought process began to shift. It was because I was like, all right, Paul, you're working a lot of hours and you're not getting paid that much. You're just working a shit ton. So somewhere between year 1 and year 2, I was like, this lifestyle is interesting, but I was like, that's when I started thinking. I was like, all right, like, this money isn't everything. 'Cause I'm around people every day that make a lot of money. They got all the Rollies in the world, the best ties, the best shoes. So it's like, and I see them every single day and they're unhappy. So I think for me, my brain was in a weird spot. It was like, all right, why are these people who I think are successful and have money, why are they not happy? And why can I tell that? And I was like, something is up.
So how did you find out what the answer was? Like, again, it hits you, this group isn't it, but you still have finance track in your mind. Haywire isn't even a twinkle in your eye.
Right.
So what's the research you do to figure out, okay, I'm unhappy here. These rich people are unhappy. how do I find what's good? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah. So I remember it was like a course of like, okay, this where we get to. The course of like 6 months right after, right? So I worked enough to where I knew I was saving up for vacations because I was like, oh, what y'all not gonna do is ruin my summer. So at that moment, I got in a preservation mode. So I was just like saving every check, because I knew at that point they wanted me to switch to another group. I didn't come this far to switch to another group in back office. No disrespect, but I know once you go there, you're stuck. I'm not putting that on my resume. So I was like, so I was not doing that. So I knew eventually I could tell I would have to leave or they might try to swap me. So I started to plan. So I started to plan. So I was applying to 2 jobs, left and right. For some reason, nothing was falling. No final rounds were like falling at all. And I was like, this is strange. And then I was like, all right. I was like, maybe God has something else. And I was like, maybe there's another purpose out there. Maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this at all, right? So I was like, I don't know. So what I started to do at that moment is I was like, all right, what are some other things I could do outside of this finance? And I still didn't have it figured out. But the day though, it came down for me to quit. I decided, all right, Paul, this needs to be your last day because you are not growing here at all. And so I realized I was not growing. And from there, when I left, I didn't have any plan at all. I had 0 plans. I just knew I was going to find a job soon, and I believed in myself. And I just knew I was going to figure it out.
But wait, so it hit you, had an epiphany one day, like, yeah, this might, like, mentally you quit. You just hadn't physically put in that 2 weeks yet.
Right. I was staying there for an extra 6 months, but I knew mentally I couldn't stay somewhere where I didn't feel respected.
Right.
And so I knew I needed to leave before it gets even worse. But at the same time, though, I said, my mentor said, Paul, don't leave out of emotion because the game is the game. Get these checks first. So that's why I stayed the extra like 6 to 8 months to get these checks. I was sad. Yeah, because I knew again what I was not going to do is let my lifestyle change. That's what I wasn't going to do because I was going to travel. I was going to have fun. So I was like, all right, let me stack up a bit. But in the moment of when I quit, I knew it was time. I didn't know what was next, but I just believed there was something out there for me. I believed it was more.
Okay, that's perfect. So you mentally quit. You checked out.
Yep, I checked out.
Which is the one thing you can't do in those seats. You can't mentally check out.
And I checked the fuck out. I checked out.
You checked out, but like you said, you knew it was something on the other side. You didn't know what.
Right. Had no clue, but I just knew I made it this far. I'm gonna be fine. I believed in myself.
So from that point, are you like, all right, I'm gonna just try to find something in finance, or do you think, I'm gonna go back to school? Like, what are you doing what soul searching are you doing to figure out, okay, what the hell I'm gonna do with my life now?
Right. At this point, I'm just praying a lot because I'm like, okay, I feel like God has something else for me. But simultaneously, I'm still applying for jobs. I'm applying for jobs left and right still. Because I'm like, something's gonna fall. Something is gonna fall. Something has to. Right.
My pedigree's too good.
Right.
Ain't no way.
Something.
Ain't no way.
Meanwhile, though, this is where it got a little strange. Every month, my account went lower, and lower. But I got happier. And I was like, what is going on? I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was losing my damn mind.
So you was just spending more money is what you said?
No. Just as me living life. So for me, after I quit,
Oh, after you quit.
Like,
Okay.
yeah, I saw my expenses. I would see money coming out of my account each month without anything coming in. But I was happier. And I was like, this is strange. And at the moment, I realized how much that job had taken out of me. And I said, damn, Paul, this is interesting. So I was like, all right, so at this point, everything I've thought in life, I realized is not true. It's like money is great to a certain point, but at this point, I didn't have a job and I was happier than I ever was in my life. And I didn't know that was possible. So I was like, what the fuck is going on?
I think that's the one thing people don't understand. I feel like
I-
it hits the finance people the hardest, or it hits on the hardest of like, people don't understand. Now, don't get me wrong. Being unemployed, yes, it's hard. But if you unemployed and you got some bread, oh, life is amazing. All
Yeah.
that time you spending 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 hours in
I
the
didn't know what
office.
to do with myself.
So much time.
I was
You
going to the
crazy.
park. I was like, oh, and also at the time, I wasn't even spending that much money.
Yeah.
I just had time and I could just think. And I said, oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I think some of the best like time spans of my life are the times I didn't have a job as an adult. Like I call it the detox. Like that detox is important.
I like that.
Because it's just literally like you're unlearning all the fuckery that you had to deal with, or all the traumas that you went through, for lack of a better word. Like, again, high stress, you dealing with putting on masks, you dealing with code switching, you doing all these things that are making you not you. You've been doing this for 3 years, but you've really been grinding for 5, 6, because the internship period, interning, you full time.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Exactly.
And you in it, right? So it's just like
80 hours every week.
So
and I had it easy.
Yeah.
And I still did 75 to 80 every week.
So that time when you finally don't got no job, is you literally feel the weight come off your shoulders. Granted, you seen the money going down, but that freedom.
Yeah. And I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was legit losing my mind. And then at that moment, I was like, all right, who can I call? I was like, because I was like, at this point, all my friends are just getting in their career because we're just 2 years in.
Yeah.
And I was like, who could I call? Because I legit feel like I was going crazy. And then I was like, oh, my homeboy at 20. Because I was like, 20 was on Wall Street. Then he said, fuck it. He quit. He was like, this is not over me. And so I called him and he was like, and I forget the exact combo that we had, but I know it just made me believe in myself even more. And although I did not know what was next, I knew I would figure it out.
So you had the faith, you had the intelligence, you had the conviction, because that's why you quit in the first place. But you didn't have a structured plan.
Correct. Did not have a structured plan. So that's why I tell everybody now, stack up as much as you can, get out as many credit cards as you can before you need them in case of a rainy day. So I always tell my friends, oh, do not just quit. Try to plan it. But yeah, to your point though.
Don't over plan it.
Correct.
So like what I had to experience, like when I quit, right? It's not about me, so I'll make my story short. Long story short, woke up in the middle of the night, told my wife, yeah, I can't do this shit no more. I want to quit. That was like
that's real though, bro.
That was literally midnight. We talked from midnight to like 4:30 in the morning. And it was just my thoughts, my feelings, why I wanted to go, like what's the plan, like literally 4 a.m. So boom, I quit. And I had a plan, but it wasn't like, yeah, it's a 30-point bulleted list and this is what I'm going to do. I already have job listings. It was like, it's really just like, I'm going because like, I can't deal with this shit no more. Worst case scenario, we moving back to Miami, bro. We on a month-to-month lease right now anyway. We out of here.
Well, I kind of did have my plan was, I was going to make sure I was going to travel on my vacations that I had planned throughout the year. That was the only plan.
Right, but it's not.
Yeah.
That's not getting you another job.
Correct.
So
I just knew I would figure it out because I thought I would just get a job soon. I just knew it. I knew it in my heart.
So I say all that to say I felt the same way. So when I quit, I didn't have a job in the bag, but I knew something was gonna happen.
Right.
I done
Something
did too
has
much.
to happen.
I've been here for 5 years. I've worked in decent groups at the best bank in the world. Like I'll figure it out.
Right.
So people will come up to me like, "Oh, hey, what do you have going next?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
And the look of like bewilderment, like people literally, I've seen people's jaws drop. Like, oh, okay. And they literally, I can see them walking away and I can see the thought bubble in their head, like, oh, that nigga crazy.
Yeah.
And I would tell them and I would laugh. Like in my head, I'm laughing at you looking at me like I'm lost.
Because
It's
you
like,
need
no.
a level of delusion to do this.
Yeah.
Some people call it delusion. Some people may call it divine intervention, depending on what you believe in. But I think it's a mixture of all the above. But at the core, though, it comes back to believing in yourself.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's the hardest thing, but also the easiest thing. Just believe in yourself. It sounds easy.
Yeah.
But I think there's a world whenever, like, when we're born, we're taught to not believe in ourselves. And so I'm glad that I've always had that in my mind to believe in myself and I can do anything that I put my damn mind to. And I truly believe that.
So with that being said, like definitely the most important part is definitely like having money stashed away. And I was just having this conversation yesterday with somebody. It's just like, I don't care how much money you owe or what you doing right now. Every time you get paid, bro, you got to stack something away. Cause like each time I made that leap, I had some stashed away to make, like outside of the confidence in myself, to give me the financial freedom to like, okay, I feel comfortable. I don't have these, they call it golden handcuffs, but sometimes you're not even getting paid enough for them to be golden handcuffs. They just handcuffs.
You just got handcuffs on.
Yeah, you just stuck. You just stuck.
I like that.
So it's just like, that's definitely, it's funny that sometimes, even though you didn't have the full plan, you had enough to go through.
Right.
Where there's people that are still in those jobs that are looking for your plan times 5. And it's like, if you just need enough.
You never gonna have it figured out. I'm just thankful that I believed in myself and I had the conviction to really actually, as I'm like doing all this, it's simple. I believed in myself, but before I believed in myself, I respected myself. People don't respect themselves because if you respect yourself, you're not going to let people treat you any kind of way. And it's not in a cocky type way, but it's like, I know who I am. And it's like, I just respect, and I have respect for myself, because if you don't respect yourself, then nobody else will. And that's one thing I hate seeing at these companies, how they just mentally bash and bring people down to like humble them, which I think is terrible, especially people of color. And I hate seeing that. Because some of the smartest people I know are just mentally put down on their jobs. And I'm like, that is not cool at all.
Yeah, it's really like, it's definitely some conditioning going on. Like they gotta beat you into submission.
100%. And I don't like seeing that. Some of my best friends are depressed. For what? Because my job told me this. Fuck them. They don't know half the shit that, they're not half as smart as you. So it's like, why did we let people at a job like translate to our worth as a person?
Because they got a title.
Especially when you know you better than them. Like, what? Come on now. That's what pisses me off so much. And I wish I could just grab people and like shake them and be like, look, don't listen to these people. Tune it out. Like, you are everything plus more.
Now, what grinded my gears the most when I worked those jobs is just like, these people would try their best to make you a little version of them. And it's like, bro, I can do the great thing. Just let me do me. Like, if there's anything I was chasing, to make that leap and to go work for myself, it was just like, I just wanted the autonomy to just do my own thing. Like, bro, I know I can do it, but you wanted me to do it. You want me to do it your way. You want me to talk on the phone like you, email like you, conduct a meeting like you. You want me to like walk like you, talk like you. It's like, bro, I can't. You brought me on. You brought me on because you saw the sauce that I had. But now that I'm here, you don't want that sauce. Like, what are you talking about?
Yep. And and to be honest, a lot of this is in a lot of jobs, and this is not just specific to being in finance at all. I've seen it through a lot of careers, and I've seen it across the entire board.
So one thing I definitely want to touch on, you definitely mentioned a lot. Yes, you did save that money, but you also did a lot of living. I feel like we got to paint it. We have to paint the full picture, because if not, people are just going to assume, just quit your job, save some money, and spend it all, and you'll get a job. Were there any sacrifices you had to make in that time of when you quit before you eventually settled? Like,
great question. On your feet? So when I immediately quit, I didn't realize how much money me and my finance friends were spending. A coffee 2 or 3 times a day is almost $30 right there. And this is not even a lunch. And granted, like we had dinner and stuff at work, but I didn't realize how much I was spending. The other thing, Ubers and taxis. I was running it up. So as soon as I quit, I realized Ubers, no, hop your ass on the fucking subway. I don't care. Subway it up. I also noticed, Paul, you have to grocery shop and cook. Ain't no Seamless anymore. No Uber Eats. You need to cook because you cannot afford to buy food every day. So those were the 2 changes. Well, I'm lying. The third change I had to make, bottle service. This one hurt my soul. That's hurt me. No more. Well, not no more, but
we got to limit the bottle service.
We got to limit bottle service. Because at one point, bottle service was every weekend. Because you work so hard. Once you get out, you go. We didn't even go home to change. We left you know how crazy it sounds now? We would leave work in the suit, unloosen the tie, go straight to the club.
Yes, sir.
Go straight to the club and have a phenomenal night. And it would be cracking. Phenomenal time. And so those are 3 things I had to cut out. I had to cut it out because I was like, you know what? But it also wasn't as hard as I thought, because I put so much positivity into the world. I realized it started to come back around, where my friends would be like, oh, Paul, come out. Oh, section, it's on me, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right, cool. So I always say doing good and like giving will always come back in return.
Okay.
It may be a bottle service for me, maybe something else for somebody else, but doing good and being and just having fun will always come back.
So boom, you're working through it. You make these sacrifices. You make these life changes. You're getting happier, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're still looking for a job. You're still applying everywhere.
Still looking for a job. When my bank account's still going down.
When do you make this shift? Like, when does the first entrepreneurial success happen? Like, how does Haywire come into play?
So even before Haywire, actually, entrepreneurship, I've always hustled. For some reason, like I remember in like high school, me and my friends threw parties and made money from that. When I look back at it, that was the first signs of me being in, I guess, a business mindset, if you want to say that. I just saw a the void and provided a need. And I also always enjoy being around people. So for me, it was fun. So that being said, once I first quit, I was like, all right, what can I do? Around that time, because I had time on my hands. Around that time, I would scout tickets on Ticket Master. I just thought about this actually. I would just, for example, if a concert was going to be released, I would sit there on my laptop and my phone, buy probably like 8 tickets or something on my credit card, flip that and resell them. I would do that a few times each week. And then I'd be like, oh shit, it's money here, And obviously back then it was not as many bots then, but let's say I bought 8 tickets and let's say I make a $50 off of each one. That's still solid money. That can still cover some of my bills and fun, you know. So I was doing that for a few months, and I was just doing like just random odd jobs I could find online. Um, but the big entrepreneurship with Haywire weekend came after I went to the Yacht Week. Because again, just to remind you, I made sure I stay at work long enough to save up for my upcoming vacations.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the Yacht Week in Croatia in 2015. Amazing time.
I still remember visuals of y'all turning up. On
Amazing time. That was a friend of mine from college. He was of lighter. Well, he was of fairer skin, I would say. He was like, "Yo, Paul, you should come because there's not that many of y'all at Yacht Week, and y'all will love it." and that's pretty much what he said. So I got what he's saying. We went and had a great time. We had one boat. It was 9 of us. Had a phenomenal time that summer. Phenomenal time. So then after that, and just traveling that summer, I realized you don't really need as much money as you think to travel. A few months passed, and I remember a lot of my friends were like, "Hey, Paul, can you plan us a trip to go to Croatia the following summer?" I was like, "Sure." The group got to be about 40 people, and I said, "Oh shit, okay, this is getting kind of out of hand now." And then I was like, you know what? I was like, part of it was because I had just went to the Yacht Week the summer before, and I like creating new experiences. The other part of it, I was like, well, Paul, I was like, essentially, I knew the people that were going. And I was like, to be honest, some of y'all aren't going to have the time that you want on Yacht Week. Because A, you're too rigid. A, you may not like the music. Even being on a boat for seven days is not as luxurious as it sounds. And so I was like, some of y'all need too many amenities. So, so I was like, this is not really some of y'all's vibe. And at that moment, I was like, hey, how could I make this experience what I had, which was great? How can I improve upon it? And what twist I had? The first thing I had, I was like, okay, villas. The boat was great, but you know what would have been better? If we can stay in a lavish villa. And to me, that was the first. I'm like, oh, this could be something. So quickly put it together. I was like, all right, who can I do this with? And I was like, who's somebody that is crazy and don't give a fuck? That's what was actually going through my mind. Because at the time, all my friends were heavy corporate still. So I was like, they might think this is a bit too much for them. Who has a appetite for something a bit, outside? And I was like, oh, and I thought 20. Cause I was like, oh, I haven't spoke to him in a while. I know he's probably in Miami or something. So I was like, all right, let me call him. So I call him up and I tell him the idea of it. We don't have a name for it yet, but I tell him like, hey, I want to bring people to a like island, and put everyone in villas. And he was like, oh, okay, like this sounds lit. And he's like, all right, bet, I'm down for it. And so that's kind of how the partnership began. And so that is how Haywire started. And our first trip was July of 2016 to Turks and Caicos, and it was a phenomenal time. Phenomenal time.
So, what did you learn that first trip that helped you understand like, oh, this is really a viable business that helped catapult you, like that really put that battery in your back, like, oh, we can really do this. All you have to do is, change things because it definitely wasn't perfect. You taking some rich 20-something-year-olds to Turks and Caicos for most likely for the first time.
Yep.
You ran into some fuckery, but
a lot of fuckery.
What
a lot.
What was that one thing to where like everything kind of slowed down around you in the middle of the chaos? Like, oh, I got something. Like, we got a hit. Like, what was it?
You remember we had a brunch party. It was a champagne party actually, and everybody had a champagne bottle, and we started spraying champagne on everybody. And this was at the brunch. It was insane. At that moment, everything slowed down, and I said, "Oh shit, we got a banger." At that moment, I knew we had a hit on our hands. And I said, "Oh my goodness, this is it. This is it." So I knew from there. And yeah, I knew at that moment, but I knew also before then, when I saw the villas and the experience that we were giving, I said, this is pure insanity. Pure insanity.
So you're going from the first trip. So when you guys did that first trip, was it Haywire then? It was officially like,
yep,
you had the LLC going.
Haywire weekend. It was official. I don't know if the LLC was going at that moment.
But you packaged this thing, you sold it.
Right.
You made money that first time. So, okay. So after that,
we made revenue. Didn't make money.
Gosh. There's a difference.
We had revenue, didn't make money.
Did you break even?
No.
So you left with some, not debt, but you came out of pocket.
Yeah, we took an L because also.
Was it like you didn't price it right? Like, what was it?
Looking back at it,
yeah,
we didn't price it right at all.
You should have charged people more.
Should have charged people more. But also at this time, though, group travel was still very new. The only person that I knew was doing it was Colin. And also at that time, he did resort. So when we did villas, it brought a whole new complexity to the game. Security deposits for each villas, incidentals, things like that. So the costs skyrocket. Also, we were in a mindset of experience over everything. So losing money, we didn't give a fuck about losing money at all. Because again, to us, Coachella lost money their first 12 years. The Yacht Week lost a lot of money in their early stage years. So for us, we just thought losing money is a key to build the brand. So having that mindset is a gift and a curse at the same time. Mm-hmm. I could argue having that mindset helped us grow a lot. I could argue having that mindset helped us in the business as well too. So it's like the good comes with the bad.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we fully believe in investing in our ideas, as you know. So whether that is wanting a tiger at a New Year's Eve event, if we want it, we're going to do it. Our issue is we don't like to pass it down to the customer. And I think that is one thing that we made a mistake of years giving. I don't want to say we gave people too much. I'll just say we didn't charge enough for our experiences. But in the beginning, though, we're the market makers as well. So we don't really know what to charge, So it's like,
yeah, it's hard to know your price.
Right. It's hard to know the price when you're doing something. So that's why I do like when a lot of the other brands came in years after us, they would just hit it with our price.
Y'all just came too early. That's all.
I wouldn't even say too early. We came right on time because somebody has to be there. Yeah, somebody has to set the tone. So I am glad to be able to set that tone. So I don't think we came too early, but we did have to learn a lot on the industry that we had to kind of create. Like we knew certain things, but we learned a lot more along the way.
So you naturally segued into the next thing I want to talk about. It's just like, yes, as much as this podcast is about putting that battery in your back, saying, fuck that job, yeah, I quit. But it's also about helping people be wise. Sure. Wise is learning from the mistakes of others, right?
Record this,
So with that being said, what are some of the things that you learned in the earlier years that like really shaped the experience? Like what are the hardest parts? Because I know it because I talked to you. I know it because I talked to 20 separately. I know the things that were hard that y'all showed me and told me. But what are those things that people didn't see when you still popping bottles on the reels and on your Instagram story, but behind them, that champagne is tears. Because that night, like, you got to set up for the next event. You up 18, 24 hours straight. Like, what is some of the things that people didn't see that made things go and the struggles that you had to deal with?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest issues for us was always cash flow. Because it don't matter if you have the money. So from the beginning, the business model is flawed. From the beginning. Because the way it works, again, we're doing a villa. So we have to book those as early as possible. Ideally, 8 months in advance. Our customers aren't paying us that like early. So from that jump, there's already a gap in cash flow. So we have to collect in funds, and we have payment plans as well. So from the jump, we already have to front a decent amount of capital. Like that's just a part of it, but that's also what we signed up for. So from that point, there's always were cash flow issues. Also, I would say as well, there was also, it's one thing to budget, right? But also, again, we were going to new locations a lot, which also helped us grow faster. Because could we have just stayed in one spot every year? Yes, but we like doing new experiences. Each new experiences, and this is things that we've learned over time that I did not fully understand back then. Looking back at it now, each new experiences we did, each new trip was a new business model almost, because a trip in Turks and in St. Lucia and blah, blah, blah is not the same price. And of course, we would go and scout it out and stuff, but there was always some type of miscellaneous fee. That was one thing that we learned. Always plan for something to not go right. Because think about it, because at the core, we are planning 2 events each day. So basically we're having we're having 2 events every day abroad. So when things go wrong, we have to work with people on the island, and things will go wrong. So imagine throwing any party in the States, times that by 8, because we're doing events everywhere. So we have to set up all the catering, do ABCD, do this. So like operationally, there can be something that always goes wrong. Financially, there can be something that always goes wrong too. Let's say something always may cost more, or something might happen. For example, I remember one event, somebody spilled champagne on the speakers. Guess what? The local guy, he doesn't care that the party needs to go on. So if we want more speakers, guess what? It's an island too. We don't have, they can pretty much name their price. So basically, in so many words, you have to pay to play. You're going to get extorted a certain amount. And I don't like to use the word extorted,
but that's the word.
Y'all know who y'all were that extorted us. But again, you got to pay to play though. Right. That's a part of the game. But I mean, again, that's a part of the game. It's supply and demand. I feel like I'm kind of all over the place.
No, you good.
Now. But like, so biggest issues, cash flow. So our business model always had a flaw from the beginning. Just by that. Operational wise, we didn't understand it back then, but we were basically doing a new event every trip because we were going to new places. So everything that we learned, we would apply it to the next.
Instead of just repeating the same formula.
Right.
If you were in the same 2 or 3 places.
Right. But also when you go to these new locations, you can have everything down to a T, but maybe this vendor is not the right vendor. And you don't find that out until they show up 2 hours late. So there's always a variable of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just something spontaneous will always happen and that you just cannot account for. Like, and there's something, and it'd be every church. We can think we have every T, every I dot. But also this is just events overall. But when you mix in events and traveling abroad, everything is magnified. There's always something.
So is there any one thing that you felt cost more than the others? Like, and I'm not just talking about financial dollars and cents. Like, was it just the emotional cost? Was it the spiritual cost? Was it the finances that hit the most? Like, which one cost really hit harder than the other ones?
I'll say, emotional was hard because also we treated every haywire trip, and we had this saying within our team: you're only as good as your last album. Nobody cares. And so again, I feel like we were our own biggest critics. Because again, even to this day, Haywire was a dope. But if you tell me about it, I'm like, it should have been dope. That's what I should be doing. That's what I was supposed to do. So like, even out, like, yeah, like that's what we should have done. It should be great. It should be amazing. So I like to look at what, not only it is, but what it should be. So that being said, I know it was emotionally, for sure, it was taxing. But emotionally, it was taxing because financially, it was taxing. Because I think from the beginning, we never really had it set up the best way. And we thought that we could just keep going and it would figure out. So I think a lot of the issues we had, we knew from the beginning, but we just thought we could just work through it. And you can work through it, But the issue is we got good at working through it.
So you never really sat down to try to
And
fix
I
it.
think that's a big problem when you get too good at working through it. So it's like, we're in this storm, but we'll figure it out because we always figured it out. And I think that's a problem for high achievers and people with businesses as well. We never sat down because back to my analogy, we are only as good as the last album we put out. So we wanted each trip to be the best it could be. So we fell into a cycle of just output, 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 output. Because at this point we could barely keep up with demand. We had each wait list for trips 100 plus at times. So it was like, so we almost felt slave to our own creation because we said, we want to provide this. So we just kept outputting, and never slowed down.
So it really sounds like at this point, now you're realizing I'm not just selling fun no more. I'm building a brand.
Yes. So from day one, we knew we were going to sell fun and build a brand. And we were going to figure out how to make profits later. I would tell people, because again, you're going to have to invest in any business you want. You're going to lose money. That's a part of the game. You have to pay a tax to the world or whatever. And that's just what you have to do. It can be in money, hard work, or experience, or all the above. You can't get around that fee, quote unquote. But I feel like for us, we highlighted profitability a little too late. Looking back at it, I would have tried to make us profitable a lot earlier. And that's one big mistake I think one big mistake I think we tried to, because again, we didn't do anything wrong with wanting the experience to be great. Our issue was we couldn't figure out a way to bridge that gap of the experience that we wanted to give versus what we wanted to charge. So there was always a somewhat of a gap, and we couldn't figure that out early enough. And so looking back at it, I would have probably had us focus on profitability a bit more.
So it's like when it came to building that brand, right? What did you guys lean on most, or maybe summarize how you went about building that brand? Because like, was it just off of the social capital you already had from the times in New York and buying bottles or whatever every weekend, or did it still require a lot of sweat equity to really build Haywire? Like, what did you do to build that brand?
Great question. It took a lot of sweat equity, but in the beginning and early days, it felt easy. And that's why I tell people, do something that you honestly enjoy doing, because the hard days are going to come. And my, oh my, the hard days came. But in the beginning, it felt easy because I'm like, I've been doing events since I was in high school. This is fun to me. I know Twainy has been doing things his whole life as well. FAMU, so it was like, it felt genuinely fun. So in the beginning, so I tell people, use what you have. If you don't have anything and you are just yourself, what will you do? I'm gonna make sure I have fun, and I make sure who's around me will have fun. That's what I'm going to do. If I don't have $1 in my pocket, I'm gonna have fun, and I'm gonna make sure everybody around me has fun. So that's something that I have done. Of course, as you scale, you start to learn things like, you need certain things in your business to grow. Digital marketing nowadays is a must. It's a must, non-negotiable. I tell people all the time, though, the biggest thing I wish that we understood, spend the money on a good lawyer and a good accountant. Oh my goodness. A good lawyer, you can maybe wait on that. A good accountant, you need that from day one, even if you don't think you do. And because a great accountant will tell you how you can save in ways that you haven't thought about. Or you can say they will also pick up on actual trends that me and Twainy and the like team may not pick up on. They may be like, oh, this and that, this and that, this and that. So it's things that we cannot pick up on. So a great accountant and a good lawyer down the road, but a good accountant is a must.
Gotcha. So when it comes to like the mindset, when you hit those dark days, like what brought you through? Like you mentioned your faith a little bit. Like, did you pick anything else up? Any other new tools to like keep it going?
I'm actually still figuring that out, to be honest, because obviously, I still have dark days as well. But just trying to figure out. For me, believing in yourself, having a support system, all this shit sound good, but when you're in the dumps, honestly, sometimes because I am still trying to figure this out now. Sometimes I feel like the best thing you can do is give yourself the grace to be in the dumps instead of rushing it and trying to like, oh, let me get out. No. Sit there in your room. Be depressed. That's fine. Sit there in your room. Be depressed. Like I remember some days I would sit in my room and not even shower. Guess what though? It built me to what I am now. And so with that being said, prayer is always great. Working out is always great. But I think oftentimes we rush too much and try to like, oh, let me get over this. No, I'm sad. Let me sit there and in my sadness and figure out why I'm sad. Also, I like therapy as well. I feel like people should talk to somebody, preferably somebody that is a licensed professional. That's what I recommend. So although I say, yeah, sit in your room and be sad, I also say if you need to speak to someone, please do that. And I think everyone should.
Got you. So like you touched on a little bit of it or a lot of it towards the beginning of the conversation, but definitely if you were to look back now, you definitely touched on it, stacking them coins, making sure your chickens are stacked up before you leave, before you go is definitely a good thing to do. But like, is there any other practical advice you would give someone? Let's say they're 90 days out.
Ooh, okay.
They're 90 days out. It just hit them. They had their epiphany like, yeah, fuck this shit. I'm out of here. I'm giving them 90 days. I'm gonna get this bonus and I'm gone. Like what do they need to do to start preparing for their next life?
So this is what I say. If you have 90 days out, I'm gonna tell you try to stay an extra month. Because just as you have it in your mind, you need to sit down a bit and plan more. So try to stay, let's say instead of 90, try to stay 120 days. So you can plan it out and so you can save up as many checks as possible because you will need as much saved up as possible. Always, I like to say this, is some people don't believe in this, but it's a lot easier to get credit when you don't need it. So if you are wise and are disciplined, I would advise you to get and take advantage of credit lines and don't use it up, but it's a lot easier to get credit when you don't need it and when you have cash flow coming in. I would tell them as well, besides the saving, you have to cut down your expenses. There was a point in time where me and Twainy moved to his mom's house in Miami for a few months just to get things off the ground. To get somewhere you have not been, you have to do something that you have not done. And sometimes, guess what that is? Cutting down your lifestyle. Cut the bottles out. Like, again, eat, even your rent. Again, you got to cut expenses by any means. Because at this point, you just need to survive. And trust me, it's hard to be creative when you're in a survival mindset. And the next thing I would say, make sure you have some cash flow coming in. I don't care if it's $20 a week. I don't care if you're walking like actual dogs or dog sitting. Do something to bring in some cash because it mentally will help you feel good. And also is you bringing in something, like you need some type of income. I don't care if it's a side job. I don't care if you are a barista at a coffee shop for a few hours. Just make sure that you're doing something that's positive and is good human interaction. Because one thing I see a lot of like founders and business owners get into this bubble to where they only speak to themselves and their business partner, and that's it. And they just kind of live in their own world. And so to me, that is not the like healthiest thing. I want them to get out more, and experience, everything around you, and to not be as closed off, because that also can affect your perspective in life.
So one of the things that I definitely want to harp on, as much as we've identified the jobs that we had weren't the jobs that we needed or we ultimately wanted to be, I'm not going to discount like the things that I learned at that job. Like one of the things I said to my circle and to people frequently, and I told one of my confidants, the homie, he was the homie at FAM, and then he actually ended up becoming my manager at my last place. And I told him all the time, I was like, yo, it's the best internship I ever had. I said that about
Great point.
my job.
A great point.
Because I literally did things that I was like, yo, I know I'm going to be out of here anyway. The end goal is to not be here. I use that as a paid education to do the things that'll prepare me for the next one.
Great point.
So I'm taking meetings with city commissioners, people in the mayor's office, running point on meetings, getting the pitch decks ready, all of that stuff. Because it's like, yo, I'm gonna get these. I gotta get these shots up. I need these reps, right? So it's like, with that being said, what were some of the things that you did, or some of the things that you look back on now while you were at JP that helped set you up and give you the tools in your toolbox to be a good entrepreneur?
I'm glad you mentioned that. For me, everything in my life has been about networking. So even when I was at JP, everything's about who you know, for me personally. So I made sure I wanted to meet as many people as possible. Some of the same people I met then down the road would later invest in me in life in various projects and whatnot. So I hear people say all the time, "Oh, I want to be my own boss." No, you don't. Entrepreneurship sucks. The shit is terrible. It's a lot easier to keep your damn job, excuse my language, but it's a lot easier to keep your job and collect those checks. And so that is the biggest thing I want to say is, if you aren't good on your job, chances are you won't be a good entrepreneur. And that's why I don't even like the term now. Because thing is, Rex, people think, oh, I want to be my own boss. But no. Just because you don't like to follow rules on your job doesn't mean you will be your own boss. Because being your own boss, you have to be even more disciplined, and like you really have to be firm. And so it's like a lot of people aren't like, no, you will not be a good entrepreneur. You won't be a great a great boss. Also, because as you know, being a boss, you sacrifice a lot and you get paid last. Being a boss is terrible. You get paid last. You have to make sure everybody else
If you
is
do it
good
right.
until you. Well, yeah, if you
do it right.
If you're-
It's people out here
Right.
embezzling and shit. But yeah, go
right.
ahead.
It's like you will get paid last, and so I just want to erase that myth of like entrepreneurship, because to be honest, majority of the wealth is slow and over time. And you know how that is built through consistent income. And that's why I stress you as much as you can. Keep that job as long as you can, because it can fund your own dreams. Because I like to challenge people and say, all right, you say when you quit your job, you will do A, B, C, D. Why can't you start doing that now with your job? Again, obviously, it can be time consuming, but for me to advise somebody to quit their job, I need to see that they have the tenacity and, and will actually put in that work. Because I feel like a lot of people do it prematurely and get fucking crushed. And get crushed.
So you segued into a new addition to the podcast. I'm becoming a real podcaster now. I got segments. So the segment,
You heard it here first.
It's called Quit Happens, right?
Okay.
And in this segment, and this is the perfect segue, we say out loud the things that we whisper to each other, whether it be in our group chats or outside of work, or right before we hop on that Teams call.
Okay.
And I just want to get your honest opinion on these things, right?
Okay.
So first things first. Who's lying more? The employers or the entrepreneurs?
Entrepreneurs. Honestly, I think entrepreneurs are lying more. And the reason I say that is because entrepreneurs are already delusional. Because to be an entrepreneur, you got to be a little bit delusional. And I think we lie to ourselves in the way that it's going to work out. It's going to work out. It's going to work out. And sometimes it don't work out. And so I think one of the core of being an entrepreneur is figuring out that balance of lying to yourself versus believing in yourself. Because it's a fine line, and I've seen it, and I have been a part of it myself, where the belief in yourself, if it's unchecked, it could easily turn into lying to yourself. So that's why for me, I'm gonna go with entrepreneurs.
Okay. So looking back on your whole journey and just kind of reliving your journey, because like you said, you haven't talked about this in so long.
Yeah.
Looking back now, was quitting self-respect or was it just your ego?
Great question. And I asked myself this in the moment multiple times. And I think that's what allowed me to stay there. Quitting was 100% self-respect. But it was me valuing my mental at the same time. Because if I knew if I would have stayed there, I would have got crushed. I knew because I saw what it did to the other and like older employees who stayed there after they had got shafted. They hated their lives, and I did not want that. So for me, it was part self-preservation, because I was like, because I knew that my mental would be fucked up if I stayed there. And I was like, I need to preserve myself so I don't ever question, am I who I think I am? Because I don't ever want to lose faith in myself, because once you lose faith in yourself, then you don't exist anymore. So it was a part of self-respect, but within that self-respect, it was self-preservation of myself as well.
Last but not least, what's worse? Quitting too early
Whew.
or quitting too late?
All right, this is a tough question. I'm gonna go with quitting too early. I'm gonna go with quitting too early because and I'm gonna tell you why. Because if you quit too late, then you may burn a few bridges here and there, and whatnot. And quitting too late, you can overstay your stay. But I think it's better to overstay your stay than to leave too early. And now you don't have a plan and you're lost and you don't have enough saved up. Then you don't have enough cash flow because the name of the game, as soon as you quit, the clock starts. The clock is counting. And the money is flying out of your pocket the moment you quit. So it's all about how long can you survive. So it's a game of survival. And if you can survive, then you'll be able to thrive. And it's hard to do that without having ample cash flow. So that's why I tell people, please, don't just quit your job. Make sure you have ample cash flow, because I've been in survival mode before. And when you're in survival mode, as you know, Ricks, you cannot think. It's hard to think. It's hard to be creative. So I would say quitting too early for sure is the bigger risk, because you could find yourself in survival mode. But to do anything, you need to be able to thrive.
Respect. We done. So, long time coming. I'm glad we figured this out.
Indeed.
People definitely needed to hear this. So, like, as we kind of wrap this up, I know you're working on new things now.
Yep.
Is this the time that you want to disclose those, or what we talking about?
Sure. We can share a bit. As people know, after 9 great years, we decided to wind down our travel brand, Haywire Weekend. So I have a few things on the horizon. What else should I say right now to the world? I'll say 2 things. One is a boutique vacation real estate firm. I'm very excited about that. Pretty much having properties across the globe and designing and creating them, because for me, it's all about building and creating spaces where people can come together. Point number 2 is a mindfulness and a wellness retreat. Essentially, I'm very excited about that. Basically, it's for people like me. It's for the high achievers and creatives who have been burned out and have worked way too hard. We'll be doing a retreat a few times each year where you can come, unwind, have great combos, and come alive again. And the first one will be this November in Guatemala. So I'm excited about that.
And what's the name of the brand?
It is called Casa Awake.
Ooh, Casa Awake. That's the next big thing.
Yep.
Looking forward to it.
Come, rest, and you can come alive.
Ooh. All right. With that, I'll be closing, and I want to look directly into the camera. I need Christy to know, like I told you right before you got into that Uber, start your consulting business for these social media influencers, because that's going to be your next revenue stream. I'm looking into the camera and I'm talking to you, and I'm going to at you too. So you got to start it. Not next week, not next month. You can start today, because you said people already hitting you up. So I remember, and I wanted to tell you that right now while I got the time. But other than that, thanks for tuning in for another episode. Feels good to be back. It's been too long with the hiatus.
Glad I finally made it here.
I appreciate you.
Definitely, thank you. And this is, again, last thing I'm gonna say: get a good accountant. It will save you so much stress and so much time.
We out. All right.
How was it?
I don't know. I like it. It's a little long, but
Yeah, I feel like I was just going. I didn't know where to stop.